Guys, we're ready. We're filming you already. It's like it's hooked up with the COL. I'm schmuckler. You're already on TV, so. I don't know. I don't know.
Dan begrijp ik het vanzelf. Je redt over alle jonge studenten, alle die jonge studenten, zo lang we redden. Dat ga je. Helemaal de weg.
I wish I took it already.
Rebbe mentions that Eir has two Yudin. Rebbe asked the question, should be one Yud, because they also the statements from Eir and Hashem B'Pecho. So the answer that Rebbe gives is that the two Yudin, is that the Yud K, Vav K, the Yud is Shem Havayim. And Al Abdal Yud, the last Yud is Echet Yud. So when you have two Yud over here, you have the Shem Havaya and Shem Adnan. And that's why most Sidurim, when they want to write the Abish's name, they're about Yud Yud, because it's in combination of bringing together Shem Havaya and Shem Adnan, which is the concept really of Refuah. Because the aim for Refuah is because that's the aim for Gvurais, person's need of Refuah. And then there's the Chasodim, the Rachmim that come, and Ani Hashem B'Fecho, the Eibster removes it. So it has the two Yudin. But then you have now the name for Chatchil Hariba. So the Kamshin Nitn Reshus Rei for the Rappes is one way of Refuah. Person Rahman Islam has a problem and he goes to the doctor. But then we have so the Chatchila, that's called Chatchila Hariba. You don't need anything. The Eibster is already the one that is prepared their full Kedem HaMakir, so there's no Makir, because Ani Hashem B'Fecho, and that is the concept of Chatchila Hariba. And since the infant Refuah, talking about the problems that person has to go through within from Gvurais, is the biggest problem in the Chilish and Israpet, is when it comes to Geula, will be Chilish and Israpet. Because in time of Golus, we have the negativity that gives us, doesn't have the shlemus. What's a Chila, the body doesn't function properly, and there are certain things which they're not coordinated. And that's the aim from the Sibur from Golus is from Sinas Chinam. Now the Rebbe explains Sinas Chinam is something, it's very important because the Lev Kol Yisrael, we are one, we one Kema. And when there's Rahman al-Islam, a stoppage of a relationship with one with another through a form of creating a blockage, so to say, of this is the aim from Hepech HaHava. So then the body itself becomes Rahman al-Islam not well. So therefore, the aim from Golus is the aim from Chayla, and that's the concept that we are now saying is that when we want the Chatchila Hariba, that in the time that we already gone through the whole Golus, so he said, I mean, we're not even waiting for a full because the Eibster gives us such a refuah that Eid Hashem can have to be das ein al-Chatchila Ribedike Geula. So the best time is, the Rebbe spoke about in the Sikha, between Michael Ma'ariv, that a person has a mazel geber, especially by Nosi Adayv, has a shachas that in Kanosi Hu Akel. So we're all, so to say, we're given a special care today, and by Kochim Hil Chamachal Alayla, so we're given a special care that we're able to have the Mazoli Geber from the Nosi Adayv, from the Marash, was Er's given of Chatchila Riber. He brought it into the world so that we should be able to, so to say, ride on his coattails. And even though the Rebbe said that Gibber Sibir Tzohaich, and the Rebbe said the reason why that Nossi Akel in previous times, that the Eberster gave the Nossi such a power that he was able to slap meet the whole army, the Nossi Akel. And then the Rebbe said that in later generations, it was unfortunately the Am was not in following with the Nossi, so the Nossi Akel was not enough, and therefore we have to have the Am has to do the work, because the Nossi Akel did the work till now, and now we need the Am to do the work. So when we have a Chatchila Riber is that even though mitzad the work that we have to do, we have to do the work, but if it's a Chatchila Riber, so we can jump over all our whatever is lacking in the world, whatever is not yet in Shleimus, but there's an Chatchila Riber Yom Tov. You don't see the Seder Staushelis, and it goes so with the schus from dem Marash. The Chatchila Riber we should be zecher. Chatchila Riber so sein aus Kompang jetzt des Mana Gula Chatchatla der in das Gaute die Gula. So sein Tage begesed der Rachman we should see it beine Basar that this from this night on. He's Hananai Slav. We're talking Mesa Mashiach, but we want the Gula. We want Hin Mashiach boy is coming. We should already came. So then the Rebbe told him, "Matu we you go leno." So Reisland from Golas. L'chaim l'rocha.
Give Rabbi Yosef. Rabbi Yosef. Nog iets opbrengen is zo aan mijn tijd. Ja. De eerste probleem is dat het vandaag. De eerste probleem is bij hier. Ja, dat is hier.
Hi.
Yeah, the l'chaim for
the absolute mashma.
דבר, נו.
There is in everything there is how it is milmailo matter and matter. In other words, how the inyan is as it is milmailo, it is a fact that this is it. And then there is how it is connected with our own aveda, with ourselves. Riber is a taich. The Amshocha Numaila comes in a way, even there isn't the Kelim, the Achone. We are not ready for it, but nevertheless, the Eibishter will give without hakbolos, without limitation. Chatchila Riber. Our own life, ourselves. The word of the Marash starts not on the Chatchila Riber, but it's going in a way. The Welt sagt, the way it comes, it's at the Welt, the way we see things, it's a mechanisch Aribe, a mechanisch Aruntergeht Aribe, which means normally a person tries, is doing whatever he can, so to say, and this is the way his life, he sets away his life in a way that he's doing, I do my best. He's doing the best that we can. But when we do only the best what we can in our way, so every while could very easy happen things that hold back the person to what he knows himself that he has to do, and nevertheless, he doesn't come to it. That is mitzad the way it is in Elam Hazeh. Elam Hazeh is a Elam. It's a way that covers mainly even things that we know that we have to do, even things that everyone feels that we have to do, supposedly. We are Chassidim. So we have to learn Chassidus, we have to give ourselves over to what the Rebbe wants. Everybody knows that. But practically, you have dapke that it comes down in Peil Mamish. Why? Because that's the Helm, the Hester from Boru. So the Rebbe Marash said that the Welt sagt, we can nicht darunter. In other words, you have to achieve something, you have to get somewhere. You have to achieve something. You're trying to do it in a very organized way, in a very regular way, the way everyone knows what he has to do, and he makes himself a cheshbon, the way I can, this and this, I can do, this is for my limits, this is to my, according to my seichel, to my feelings, this is what I have to do. To do what the Eibishter wants. To do to sein Chassidim. To do what the Rebbe wants. But it is limited, it is in the framework of what the world takes it, so to say. Do it slowly, slowly. So it's also good. I mean, if you do slowly, you go and go and go further and further, somewhere you will get sometimes, somewhere. But this is not what demanded from us. So the Rebbe Maharaj says that the mitzad world, because of the world, the way you look at from the way the world is, nature. So everyone is doing what he can, and supposedly sometimes he will get somewhere. But the kavanah is, what the Rebbe Maharaj says, is that you have to jump over the get in, take on yourself things that you feel that it's not necessary easy, not necessary in your level, not necessary that is comfortable, but we have to know if something what we are told to do, something that the Rebbe demands from us, something that we know that the Rebbe wants, even though we don't have the keach, so not the keach at all, we do have, but we don't have it in our way of life, so we have to overcome our own feelings and get to what the kavanah of the Rebbe is. There was someone that came in once to the Rebbe. It was a bocher or a German, I don't know. And he started to cry. And he said to the Rebbe that he made a cheshbon, so to say, in his way of life, in style of life, whatever he was. So it's completely not what it's supposed to be, not what is desirable. So he brought himself out that there is no use for him, so to say, to live. And it's in such a form that he was a miyuesh. He gave up on his life, on his kashmis, on his ruchnis. He gave up. And he was crying and crying for a long time. The Rebbe gave the way I heard for a half an hour. Then the Rebbe told him like this. It says, Ham Chadesh Betuvei Bechol Yom Tomid Ma'aseh Bereishit. Hashem makes new. He renews the world every day. Not only the Shat Bechol Yom doesn't mean every day, only it means every minute, every second. Hashem is constantly making the world new. Questions of the Rebbe is Ein Sof. Hashem is Ein Sof. So he could make the world in a way, make it once and shall be forever. Why does he have to renew it every little while? It's a chaos Ein Sof. The Eibishter is noch Ein Sof, and he made the world with chaos Ein Sof. So why does he have to mechadish b'chol yom? And the answer is that if this is when a person finds himself that it went over so much things, and whatever he tried it didn't go, and whatever he did it's not enough, and he comes to a point that he feels that he can't do anything. So the Eivish said that every minute is a new life. Every minute is anew. So whatever had happened before, it happened. Now it's a new life, a new world, and a new thing, and we have to jump over and start from the beginning. That is the title of Chatchila Ariba. If you're going in this way, that slowly, I will try to do whatever I can. So, Leitman Krichman, we go like it used to be called a crocodile that goes, takes him an hour to go move from one place to another.
A turtle.
What's the difference? It's not the one. That's not the Rebbe's word, it's mine. But the word is that we have to remember that we have the Rebbe's Keiches. We have the Keiches of the Rebbe Marash, of the Rebbe, which is the Keiches of the Chatchila. The whole approach of the Rebbe was to Chatchila go up, get out of your Metzias, get out of your limitations, so to say, find by yourself, doesn't matter what happened till now, doesn't matter what it was till now, what you did till now, whatever it is. Now it's a new life, it's a new world, it's a new day, a new minute, whatever it is. So you have to jump out from where you in, from your limits, and put yourself in what the Rebbe wants, put yourself in what the Eibishter wants. You will say that you already tried and it didn't work. That's the word. Even you don't have to go in a way of going step by step. You have to make by yourself a hachlote that from now on, that's what the base here is. From now on, I'm becoming a different person. It's not. I'm not saying it's something that he helped by them, so to say. That's not nourish to say. But the point is, this is what the Rebbe Magvir remind us is Uftu of Iyer, that this is Chedesh Nissen is Agilu Milmayel Lamata Megid. Hashem gives. It just became a Nikla Melech Malchei Amlochim. The Eibishter goes down on the Eden and gives them. But it comes to a time that you have to do ourselves. And that is the Chedesh here, that you have to go step by step. But that step by step has to be in a way of, I do it, azay und nicht anders. That's the type from Chatchila Ariba. You make everyone in his way. Doesn't have to be, you can't take on yourself with a risking from wealth. But nevertheless, in whatever you find that this is important to do, and this is the right things to do, has to be a decision. I'm taking on myself that this is something that I must take, I must continue, I must do that way. It can't be that a person will take on himself all Taryag Mitzvahs, so that's not possible. But nevertheless, that's what he could do. He should do it with a achlote that this is, I'm taking on myself, and I must conclude, I must continue, I must do, because this is what I am created for, I am born for, and by my achosi, what shaykhs do I have to the Rebbe. This is because this is my duty on this world. And in such a way, this is the hachone of Gilui of Mashiach. Gilui of Mashiach is also in a way of no limitations. Till now, till Mashiach, the whole Aveda of Eden was in Golus. What does it mean? Being in Golus and nevertheless serve Hashem. So we can mention he is in Golus. How much can a person do when he is with hands tied, so to say, in Golus? What the Rebbe took it on is that now is already the time that we are preparing ourselves to this Galus of Mashiach. So everyone understands that the Galus of Mashiach means that it will be something which is completely not in the way that we understand till now. So it has to be the achlotas that we take in a day of Beis, in a day of L'Chatchila Ariber. It's a time to take achlotas in a way that to give ourselves over, that the things that we decide to do, we must do it, whatever it happens. Anyway, l'chaim, we read, maybe to help them that we should have the right achlotas, and the biggest achlotas, maybe to send that Mashiach, call them to them, with Norem, who you go away.
By Fabrengen, over 50 years ago, the Rebbe spoke about the Rebbe Marash. He said that when his grandfather from his mother's side came back from Lubavitch, and the people in the city asked him what it's like in Lubavitch by the new Rebbe, by the Rebbe Marash. And he mentioned that amongst the things that he said, there's a tremendous ashiras. Everything is like in riches and gold and very expensive furniture, etc., etc. And the Mama is surprised. Rebbe should have all this kashmias and gold. So the Rebbe said, if I remember correctly, the Rebbe said that he told them, Petach, fool. Who did Hashem create the gold for? For me and you? It's for the Rebbe. That's what it's for. But at Fabrengen, the Rebbe also said that every single day, the Rebbe Marash used to travel in Lubavitch itself. He had a beautiful coach with nice horses and everything. And there was a goy, coachman, would take him every single day into the woods, into the forest near Lubavitch. And he would be there for about an hour, and then he would come back. And people presume that the Rebbe Marash, we know that the Gashmias, he needed a lot of refuahs. He used to travel a lot to get to the doctors. The Rebbe Rashab was like that, the Frierdiker Rebbe was like that. They traveled, these three Rabbeim that we know, traveled a lot to get medical help, etc. So they figured that just go to get some fresh air. So they finally, they wanted to find out what really happens over there. What's the Rebbe Marash doing every single day? But what's to do? So they decided they're gonna find out from the guy, but the guy doesn't talk. That's it. He was promised not to say a word. They didn't say a word. So what did they do? They took some mashke, vodka. In Rusland, there's a day of malachas. So they took a bit of vodka and they gesagt l'chaim mit them. Einmal, a zweitmal, a drittmal, a centmal. Till he opened up his mouth. When he opened up his mouth, the Rebbe said by Fabrengen, the Rebbe said it in Russian. The Rebbe said that he doesn't understand. He said, "Chudnoy chilavek." Chudnoy chilavek means a strange guy, you know, a queer person. It's nicht normal. He said he doesn't understand them at all. He says he takes them every single day, but he has no idea. He can't understand what it is. He has a beautiful house. That's what it's a beautiful house. There's gold, there's silver. He has a family, he has nice kids, he has a wife. And what's felt him? What's missing? He couldn't understand what you're doing over there. But then he sees that every single time when he goes, the Rebbe Marash sits down on a log, on a piece of wood in the forest, and all of a sudden ants come crawling all over him. Ants that bite him, the ants all over him, and he still sits there and he's following whatever he's doing over there, and the ants are all over him. And when he's finished, he decides that he has to leave. Then all of a sudden, all the ants in one shot, they all go off him. They all go off, and they leave, and then they leave. This happens every single day, every single day. So the Rebbe brought out that you can see what's happening. That the ants didn't come there all of a sudden. That he arrived, they came in. That if he wants to leave, they're all gone. The Mizrach he went there. Could you imagine? Aid, which klapechutz looks like he's in gold and in silver, with alle gute Sachen, and deep down, nobody knew about it. and he informed that the guy shouldn't say a word. As a matter of fact, the Rebbe Marash found out that he did say, so he fired him. And the guy came crying to the guy came crying to the Rebbe Marash, he came crying, bitter the thread, and the Rebbe said, so the pale, okay, it's a deal that you shouldn't talk anymore, and he took him back. There's a story, Ruzhiner, this happens to Fabrengen, but the Ruzhiner was also known that his house was mamish like a palace. Portion of palace, the outside, the inside, gold and silver, galore, but every mamish, tremendous amount of riches. The Rebbe explained by Fabrengen that there's a Veda from Tzadikim that has to go dafka through Ashiras. Some of them regular, some through Aniyas, some through Ashiras. So there's a story that there was a Yid who lived not far from the Ruzhiner, and there was a Yid that had a cheshek to see Eliyahu. She read in the Sefer that at 40 days and 40 nights you don't speak Lashon Hara, Eliyahu comes to you. It's a hard job, for us it's maybe hard even for a few hours not to speak English of a Fertzig tech, but he undertook it. It's hard, it's schwer. Then Lashon Hara and not Dvarim B'Teilim. Lashon Hara and not Dvarim B'Teilim. That's doch noch schwerer. Not Dvarim B'Teilim. Was? Das habe ich nicht gehört. Kann sein. Ich habe gemacht, das habe ich gesagt, was ich gesagt habe, gehört. So, not Dvarim B'Teilim und finished. No, geht doch ein Tag, eine Woche, 2 Wochen, 3 Wochen, 5 Wochen. No. He's waiting for the day. He's waiting. Gil Eliyahu. Eliyahu doesn't appear. I thought maybe made a mistake. The information I've been with my Egel, maybe they missed out a day. Wait another day, 41 days. I was at 41 days. Something is wrong, and he counted the days with Sweden. He counted every single day correctly. So he asked, this is something he has to ask somebody at Tzaddik for Satan. So he asked around who's there at Tzaddik over here, in the area, so can zufern affect Nasa Shaila. So I told him, yeah, there's a very big Tzaddik, the Ruzhin, there's a Baldik at Tzaddik, and he's go to him, he's based all the Sachen. Good, he found out which town he's in Ruzhin, with the address, all the good Sachen. And he travels, and he asks around, where's the house of the Ruzhin? They showed him, says, that's a house, not Tzaddik, a palace, mamish a palace. Other houses in town are little shacks, little doors, for Heiser, I never doesn't belong to such a house. But that's it. The address is correct. They told him that's where he lives. That's the address. Good. He knocks on the door and he asks, can I stay here for a night? He said, come and God will come inside, come around, they get my zimmer, no problem. They gave him a room. He goes into the house, his eyes were popping out. He never saw such riches in his life. Never saw such things. He goes to Tzaddik on top of all of it. It didn't make sense. But he's tired already. He said, I'll sleep over the night. No. But then he said, tomorrow morning he's leaving. There's no one here to talk to over here. We're finished. And then in the morning he sees that this Tzaddik, by him it was the so-called Tzaddik, is leaving the house all dressed up with a futon, with a fur coat, and he has a beautiful coach with 4 horses and in the front, unbelievable. And the Ruzhiner comes out of the house, and then he sees the Ruzhiner walks over to one of the horses and passes it on the back. Emol, Atzveitemol, Adritemol. He was going out of his mind. Nicht ein normaler Mensch passiert. Nicht kein Rebbe. Welcher normaler Mensch goes to a horse and pats the horse on the back? Yes? So he lost that. He walked over he said to me, Rebbe, tell me, what kind of a Veda is it to pat a horse on the back? What's in this Fragishev? That's so the Ruzhiner tells him one line. He says, Rebbe, you have to understand, this horse didn't speak for the B'Teilim 40 days and 40 nights. He doesn't deserve to be patted on the back. Und das ist verstanden, die Menschen wollen, also ausgefunden ist, der Tzaddik, und er sagt, der Machshoves, not Ruach HaKodesh, and he gave the message in one line. nicht reden lassen heute, fanden bei den anderen Kreisen, fanden Teines Dibun und Teines Dos und Teines Jan, das ist alles gesund, hey, aber was du getan? Der Pfarrer ist abgewacht, der Rebbe gemacht, was hast du getan? Es ist gerechnet mal natürlich, was du getan? Es gelernt, es gedauert, es getan, aber es ist einer von Zeug. What did you do? Nicht. Jeder Ried, schädige Morde, Josmel, Jover Aveda, ist gelassen Mitzvah. Jeder Ried, was sitzt dort, hat nicht gehargert können, nobody killed anybody right now, nicht gegangen wird. Leist das als easy, hat nicht gehasst, Jover Aveda, das ist aber was du ja getan, mit das Essen, ist es schwer zu tun. Nicht reden von dem Teilen, nicht reden was schon heute, ist okay. Aber was hast du getan? Der Rebbe gemeint, der Pfarrer, der Flachel, von jedem einen, ein Hein bei Nachtecke, bei Sira Kaponim, ist die Jahre von Sira Gutes Chabad. What?
What's the fetus?
Ja, Fidesz, Englisch. Sira Gutes Chabad was founded at a base here, the fellowship with the Fedesz, and Amolike Jordan, there was a Nigen called the Rebbe Menashe's Nigen. When we grew up, when a Nigen gave the Rebbe Menashe's Nigen. Some people called it 1, 2, 3, 4, because then with Amol, the Rebbe gave it a name, Chatchila Rebbe. Chatchila Rebbe, we know a story, the Rebbe Menashe said Chatchila Rebbe. You find this, the Hanan, that this is Umatum. But the Rebbe said that this was the Rebbe Marash stood for. The Rebbe himself said many times, when Ich Zog, it came out, sometimes the expression was that the Rebbe himself was saying this. Ich Zog about himself, Chatchila Rebbe. Chatchila Rebbe, there shouldn't be any agbolas, any obstacles. Anything what you call an obstacle, the Rebbe said, is not an obstacle, it's a challenge. It's a challenge that you can, but for sure, we can overcome it. It's not a problem that we should have any chshoshes. And today, you see in Tofshin Pei Beis, in Tofshin Ayin Beis after Kriya, you see how everything grew with Lubavitch. The Rebbe obviously saw this Tofshin Yud. The Rebbe became Rebbe, Tofshin Yud. The Rebbe saw all of this. That the Rebbe was crying. The Rebbe made Tzira Gudas Chabad was also with the same thing. But the reality is at that time, the Koimataita the Rabbi was almost non-existent. I don't know, I wasn't in Montreal then, I can tell you, but it was in New York. In New York, Tzira Gudas Chabad was founded. So they made, what was Tzira Gudas Chabad? There was no Mifzoim. Mifzoim started off Chavzai and the Mifzah Tfilin. The only Mifzah they had was the Mifzah of Chazan in the Chassidus in the Shuln, and the place Mifzah Tfilin started, the Mamish, nicht Mifzah, Mifzah Manestrik. Mifzah Matzahs never started a year or two before. So this was, wasn't the tank, it didn't exist. So what's it given? The whole thing was, remember they made a shir once a week. They learned in somebody's house, a private house, that a shir Tanya. Basically 7, 8 people came. That was Shevu's Chabad. And then they had a shir out to Rebbe Shulchan. One was Monday, one was Wednesday. And once a week they had a shir in Diamond District on 47th Street. There was a lot of from Yidden. That was Chabad, and they wrote about this in Kevis. You can look it up in Kevis Lubavitch. It came out at that time, so they wrote. And then they went Chazer in the shul. So how many shuls were there? They went there. Basically, they went a little bit in Parnassus, in Brownsville. There was a lot. Crazy, there's 20 shuls, and every week they used to hang up. In 770, at 9 o'clock, the duch that went into the Rebbe used to hang up on the wall. But the Chazet who went with Shikha the Chazet and finished. I remember taking Yana Zeiten, they wrote every detail. So they wrote in a der Bocher went to the shul, and then it said Holach v'lei Choza. Holach v'lei Choza. You never came back. Lechoza, they made Lechoza nicht Moschen Kedes. The belief doesn't go such a group. Choza, bei uns hat nicht gechazet. That's Alabamic sprach, nicht gechazet. Nobody talks that way. Holav lechoza means missing in action. That's holav lechoza. He never came back. But this was given a mole. Unbelievable. The Rebbe's cook, the Rebbe's foresaw Tofshin Pei Beis was going on now. Some a lot more. Going Pei Gimel, the Mashiach will come in, but knows the ability. But we can't even get a built time. The Rebbe was saying the Rebbe saw all of this because then Mamish Tofshin Yud. The Rebbe gewinnt wegen dem. Mit alle Sachen. And Baruch Hashem, that now we see the fruition, but was come forth. And the Rebbe made, I can tell you this, Bochrim in Yeshiva, they weren't the guys, the Chelivik down in Baveda, and they kept studying with all the Sachen, whatever it was. Many of them went out on Shlichas, they can't even have take it. The Rebbe's Keches is, we shouldn't get in the way. We have to let the Rebbe do the job. And we're lucky. And we lost them Rebbe. Arbeiten durch uns. Let the Rebbe work through us, and we can accomplish the Rebbe's in Yonim. And today we have Sipurim, Mamish, Lalofim, Lerbonis. You have Pashat, Onashur Sipurim. And the Yin of Sipurim from Mopsim, there's a disagreement, Pashat. They come out to say Machlekes from Rebbe with Friedrich and Rebbe. That's the only thing about was his dog. That's known. Pashat and Rabbi. But today it's the Xaviat Kedesh, a letter that the Rebbe wrote to the Friedrich Rebbe. The Friedrich Rebbe gehalten, dass the Zell Mopsim Sipurim, is Atmos Nechom, reliktischen Sachen, Abedach Siddhas, alle Sachen, Sipurim, the Zell Mopsim. And the Rebbe was arguing with the Friedrich Rebbe, says, it's when I'm Mollus, you've been Epsilanian. Today, me live, but or the chemo, me left Mamish lived in Kashmir, me lived in Zink to Chumrius, that aufheben. Now, Sipur, Amefas, hebt up. Because the Rebbe was pushing, insisting with the Friedrich Rebbe, pushing, and Friedrich Rebbe didn't, I don't know if he agreed with him or didn't agree, but it's Zelten that Friedrich Rebbe, you know, the Yachas and the COVID, and this is not even the word of the Friedrich, of the Rebbe to the Friedrich Rebbe. But over here, Mamish openly, it's a printed letter, the Xaviat also. So the Rebbe himself not only told stories, but the Rebbe gave us what to tell stories. The Rebbe gave us Mopsim, so we should be able to tell stories. And the Mustake, like it says, in Lubavitch, you give them Mopsim as a Gevalget unter den Tisch. Nobody had the time to pick it up. By dollars, you saw an assembly line. I think things went Mopsim in of the under the whatever people needed, it was moving like an assembly line. And today, a lot of these stories that people didn't even know then, they came out. Things are, it's even recorded on the video, and they recorded the audio. By dollars, with alle Sachen that the Rebbe gives us and gave us so much. So now we have to make sure that the Rebbe gemont. Get a Welt heim. So I think today is a Yem Sgula from Beis Yil Chatchila River, a Yem Sgula from Tziragudas Chabad. Tziragudas Chabad, it was founded here also, Rebel. Beis Yil Tofin Tezvov given, it's all been talked here.
Beis Yil New York is given the Asifa in New York.
New York, yeah.
If I bring the Rebel here, Shabbos Mevoshim.
Yeah.
Shabbos Nacht, right, is given Beis Yil. Given the Asifa in New York, this year.
Yeah.
So, given a Woche später, an Asifa, die Schieben zum Reben. Nun soll ich kommen ein Brief vom Reben. Schede Simon, soll ich kommen ein Brief vom Reben zu die Jahre von Tziragudas
Montreal. So I remember that I was working on Kuta Sichas and the Sofras.
The date is Hashis.
That will resolve. I was working on that. We came across a letter. It's addressed to Tziragudas Chabad in Montreal. We didn't have the photocopy of the letter itself. We had many letters. We had photocopies. This letter comes to somebody retyped it, and it was those who know Amoliki Yordan with a typewriter is Bechlal. Basically, what a typewriter is, and that with a typewriter they made one copy. That's what CC, by the way. CC. People don't know what CC stands for.
The original letter.
Oh yeah, the original. CC stands for carbon copy. This is a piece of carbon paper, a paper under it. If you wanted, you make noch a carbon. That's not the sichas, by the way. The sichas that we had in our days, the Rebbe didn't allow to mimeograph, even mimeograph, let alone to print. No mimeograph sichas. Everything was typed on a typewriter. So on a typewriter, you can make one copy, and you put a carbon paper, and then another paper, and then another carbon paper. And you have to get very special thin paper. You used to go to the east side.
It's called onion paper.
No, it's thinner than onion paper. Onion paper is like an onion paper. It's starke paper. This is like the cigarette paper. It goes around the cigarette. Same type of paper. With ganze sheets. It was a ganze Aveda. It was a ganze. And then every copy became less and less clear. Mamish less and less clear. And that's how they sold the sichos. The guys who typed it wanted to make so the first copy, the Bnei Ashirim were able to buy the first copy, the second copy, the third copy. The other Mebochrim, they ended up with the 18th copy, the 19th copy. You couldn't see a word. Mamish, you couldn't see anything. Everything looked like a kestel, but they worked out a plan. They saw, let's say, if there's something sticking out, there's a lamed. A lamed has a steck baby. The nun goes below. They figured out Hashem became a kestel. From so many carbon papers, it became a kestel. So, but those guys, the Bnei Aniyim worked it out. I remember I was in 770, there was a Bocher in 770. He came from Yemen, from Tamar. So he used to learn, but he held the Gemara, he held it like this, sideways. Because he says that he was in Tamar at that time. They came as Mamish just before that. So they had one Gemara. So they said the Gemara was in the middle. One guy read straight, one guy read from the side, one guy read from the upside down. He was the guy on the side. So the guy who read upside down, he read the Gemara faster upside down, the Tasei, than like this. You could read this way also. But all the ACS with Kopar up. So that's how the Sichas went. So this was also a typed letter, and then so Rabbi Mochkin was the original. But what I saw, it said over there, it looked like Hey Shin Yud Sof, but maybe it was Tov Shin Yud Ches, because the Hey was already all filled in. The little empty space there could have passed for a Tov, and the Tov could have passed for a Ches. If it's Tzira Gudas Chabad, there was no Tzira Gudas Chabad in Tov Shin Yud. The Rebbe used to write Hey Shin Yud Sof, Tov Shin Yud. Hey, Tov Shin Yud became like Hashem Yisborach. Hey Shin Yud Sof became Tov Shin Yud. But over here, if Tzira Gudas Chabad wasn't around in Tov Shin Yud, and it doesn't make sense. So it was printed like a good sichos like Tov Shin Yud Ches, Tov Shin Yud Ches, because there's the only letter that I know of that was written in Tov Shin Tesvov that the Rebbe used Hey Shin Yud Sof. Hey Shin Yud Sof means Tov Shin Yud K. Yud K is the Rebbe used it always at Tov Shin Yud, but here all of a sudden the Rebbe used it. There it meant the Hey was for Hey Alofim. Hey Alofim Tov Shin Yud was Hey Shin Yud Sof. Here the Rebbe used it Shin.
But Tov Shin Tesvov.
Tesvov, the Yud K, unbelievable. I think it's the only letter. Rabbi Mochkin. Tov Shin Tesvov. The letter is Tov Shin Tesvov. That's the letter Rabbi Mochkin is talking about. The Cheder Sivan, Tov Shin Tesvov, but the Rebbe didn't write Tov Shin Tesvov. A whole year there's letters. I don't think there's even one letter that's written like that. Hey Shin Yud Sof. It's a special bracha from Mונטריאול at the Eibishter get Yud K. Yeah. Hey Shin Yud Sof. Yud Sof.
Okay, but
As good as Rabbi Moshe will give you the original. He has the original letter. That's Mamish will see. And there's Hey Shin Yud Sof. So it's Mamish. It's Poshet Top Yud K. A special Hamshoche from Mונטריאול. Yud K Vov K. Yud K is the stories. It's not Vov K is an English. The Rebbe get the K, that's the Yud K. The Vov K, that's Hashem Shol Makisa Shol. Mashiach Kum. Al Keis Ko. Das steht doch in Chumash. Yod Al Keis Ko. Ein Hashem Shol Makisa Shol. Das sein, der Rebbe schon gegeben dem Yud K. Unsere Arbeit, die auch bringen der Vov K. Gesehen mit der Rebbe Dolamato, wo ich allein und ich will Aribe.
Steven saying in Montreal.
That's Rabbi Mochkin.
A week later.
Rabbi Mochkin will give you the letter.
A week later, it's not
A week later was established, and the
letter.
establishment, and the Rebbe sent a letter.
The Rebbe wrote a letter later. The Rebbe spoke about it. Shabbos and Bochum.
okay.
Then that's it. Then Beijing was in
New York.
In New York.
Right.
About the Merkozos.
Haylomis.
You have no idea. There was one Chabad house. Anyway, ganz well, we will give it. We were talking to him. I feel like Esher Mendel didn't go out yet. I feel like Berel Shemter didn't go out yet. Yeah, so
2 days later, the Rebbe
in Morocco given. That was it. Hat er so the Chalipske given.
Australien nicht gewählt hat, das ist die
Well,
in Australien hat nicht geschickt, jawohl.
well,
Das ist was in Gefahren in Australien, nicht habe ich geschickt.
zufrieden gehabt. Zufrieden gehabt, Mensch. Ich habe ja given. Even a Sach, so was allem heftig given. Ich habe mich gewünscht. Da haben wir Posten genommen für Rap. Nicht gerettet gehabt. Ich kann nicht selber staan. Früher, zijn je bloed en alle beschikbaar. Mijn ganze brief voor hem, zijn we beginnen koud. Eagles keer de zin zo lang. Al die brief, en dan schrijft ze first, the names, the slaps, and redden met zich. Geen in college met the names, and the redden met zich in college.
Well, he went to college?
He wanted to go, whatever.
He wanted to go.
Yeah, tell me, whatever, he wanted to go. I see you. Yeah. You know the Rebbe, I can niet sign it. Jennis man, dat niet sign de goede met de Rebbe. Dat is schrijft de Rebbe, Jennis sign. So the Rebbe said, she put me against this guy. I can't solve him. Once it's this guy, once you become a good to the Rebbe, because he's holding on to you. You can't stop begging. But hangt zich om dat zijn baldige brief. Unbelievable. Because yeah, guess unbelievable. I'm not to do it, yeah. The Rebbe held the ganze Zeit. The Rebbe held the ganze Zeit. It's a baldige brief. Right at the beginning, it was up to all of that. Right at the beginning.
And my sister-in-law wanted to go. She finished seminary and she came back. She was an older girl then. She wanted to go to university. This during college, my Schweden wants. So you figured, how can he stop her? He said, yeah.
Was? Yeah, 100%. Zeker zo'n namen, en ik zeker zo'n namen. Je zegt maar ik een ander ribben. Yeah, that's right. Dat is zijn, ja. They're plated, yeah, 100%. Waarom on the metal bomber?
Die woont hier in college.
Dat is mijn spread. Dat is je ben vriendelijker hebben zijn. Dat is mijn jullie alle. Ja,
dat is English, weet je
dat. Laat zeggen, je bent de enige Engels speaker in ganz Lebouw.
Wow.
Oh, yeah, who else spoke? That was a special, was allemaal heftig. But they made the Gisha, for example, they given that allemaal post, and dat werd iets van plaag te geven.
Is gebleven bij een korf, no?
We used to
Is gebleven is met korf. Hij komt van hem. Samen met hem gebracht. Samen. Black, he brought him.
The ganz Lubavitch, at that time, I'll be in 70, the says, when mentally used to come in the morning, we have a brat the ganze Nacht, we like unter dem Tisch, the heaven, who's gets it, that's what 70 looked like at that time. But when I think, 3/4 of the book from Rusland, from that Israel, nobody couldn't speak a word of English. But they made up Gish, I remember they made up Gish, the first Gish was in 770, and I assumed that so they had, maybe 9 or 10 people came. People came. And who were the speakers? Salman Posner and Black. And I remember, a year later, 2 years later, I come a Hebreman, a good cop, and he was asking a lot of questions. And I remember, he used to come to watch. That was the only place that there was only building, say 770. Lubavitch then.
We had it here too.
That was later. They only had a building, a roof over their head. It was after they fixed the shalash. Given the 770, given that's it. So there was downstairs 770. So a bocher that given Yankel Chaneke. Jack Chaneke is the given. Hanoke, Hank Tester Hanoke. And is Chaneke. So he came and get starke Shilas to get how to get out of it. It was a hard job. And at that time, given whoever wanted the Kisha, it's only a few people were able to go into Yechidus. The next night, Sunday night, he said, listen, he fixed up these guys and was on the post. Now he's going to get to the Rebbe now. He's going to do the chief. So they let him in. He came out. There was a Halba show, whatever. He came out. The Rebbe told him, yes, the Rebbe told him he should take off time from his university studies and he should go learn Torah. Yes? It was before Adar Torah. There's no place in the whole world. There's not one Baal Tshuva yeshiva anywhere in the entire world. The first Baal Tshuva yeshiva was Adar Torah. Yankel Goldberg was just here now.
Yeah.
Ben, sag ich. Ja, das ist nicht gewähnt. Das sag ich. Ist nicht gewähnt. Ganz, Abish was the first one, and this was Chavbeis. So the Rebbe tells him, Wula, 70, all this guy, Shikit, and he was Makabel. He took off his university and he went to learn. And then he became the chairman of Aleph Gishas. Yes? He went to fix up the Lubavitch Rebbe. That's, he became, those were the erste painters. Is gewachsen ein bisschen. Chatchila Riba. It took a long time to Chatchila Riba. A lange Zeit.
Here we have Manas Friedman.
Lakish, no, ich hätte man.
Manas Friedman.
I had Berg.
Yeah.
Professor Berg, no? Black is een koer van zelf een poisoner.
Wie kommt das an?
Tony Burke used to speak.
National Tennessee.
That's where he's coming from. He's from National Tennessee.
Tony Burke used to speak in Young Israel. When she was not, he used to speak in Young Israel.
He used to give out to my mother of Tony Burke. My mother to give them.
Bring it every mensch that question, but the answer nobody knew the answer. Question was, how can you pay somebody even pay Taylor or something else? What do you do to him? Set to that back and get the Malkus. She passed us on that. They didn't know what to answer. Somebody is
You asked the question.
With the spaceship. He's a man,
Schaut die ganze Projekt. Der Mensch tut echt schaut die ganze Gestaltung. Ist der Malkes auch früh genug. Doch nicht immer. Ich denke, da ich. Was muss ich dir sprechen? Was was das für Bedingungen? Hallo, bei ihr.
I went to know that had it. And now I got my you gotta
I'm not sure. Some guy in school.
doing any of it. I won't be Het bent er ook door.
We hebben de Schaffergillen beginnen. Dan Shimon was there.
Und die Braten, das wird nicht allein.
Dan Shimon, ja, zo. Nee, dan kom je dat smoel naar de stoel. Dat is de laatste behaard.
But so we have to find a way to buy. Who are the buyers for this? Don't go to the developers. People who sell it.
We're standing there in the hallway, and the smaller bit went up to that bit and sold the hummus. And I'm standing with another guy who was the night before, the night of biggest hummus. But standing, Chinese, they were standing with a guy in the hallway, and they got Taylor, with some hole, the place was empty. It was a night before made the hummus. I was hanging around there. So, with some hole, I see the Rebbe coming out of his room, running out. Was? Weet je van, fijn dat je bent.
Ik blijf nog van mij. Dat de regel, maar ik ben een kleine regel.
Deborah was walking by me. I couldn't even move. I didn't want to hit him. The Rebbe was talking to himself. And he's like running down the hallway to the Shmuel's room. So let's say you're and then we went to the Shmuel. We went to the Shmuel to find out what was whatever. Didn't give him the money for the face. I just heard that he was walking. Just keep on walking.
What was the money for?
For the.
Rob, you give money.
Oh, okay.
You give Rabbi Bell money. You give Rabbi Bell money.
No.
That's what you don't know. That's what you don't know.
You have to ask. You have
It's more important than
Moshe Chachti. I gave it to Moshe Stein. No,
Oh, Mr. Stein, is on today. Every Rob is good. Every Rob is kosher. Rob is the vein, everything Rob is kosher.
They never gave $50 then. It's a shot that people give today, 50, 20.
And you have to remember that Shmuel got mine, but also Shmuel, he had no money, so he didn't get welfare. Shmuel, you have to understand. When he came as a Shaddad in the late 30s. He came to collect money for the.
By the way, Shmuel is the first name after the Rebbe Marash.
Yeah. He's born in Mamish translation.
4 years younger than the Frierdiker Rebbe, no?
So he came in the late, each of the Masmid was here before him. There's even a video of each of the Masmid. We have a beautiful video of each of the Masmid. Yeah, it's unbelievable. And Shmuel came after Shmuel said, the biggest names were here. And then the war broke out. He couldn't go back. So his wife Nebuch was killed. He had a daughter that was killed.
In Europe.
Yeah, his son also, Vilna.
His son?
Vilna.
So upon us, he ended up. So when the Frierdiker Rebbe bought 770 in Elul, Tafshin, so the Frierdiker Rebbe took the middle floor, as we know. Rasha was on the top floor, and then the Zal was the Bismedus and the Rebbe's room. That was America's room. When the Rebbe came, by the way, the Rebbe slept there for a few weeks. The Rebbe slept in that until they got that room. So and the Frierdiker Rebbe said Mamorim, Tafshin Aleph, he said Mamorim every single Shabbos in that room. So upon him, Shmuel, he was given the back room of 770. Today, the Yichud room,
The library.
The boiler, no? Next to the boiler.
The Yichud room with his kitchen and his living room. That was the Yichud room. It was the kitchen. He had a little some apartment to cook some water. That was his kitchen. Okay, and the other room, he had a big iron bed. I used the bed. That's a base of bed. And it looked nice because that room, that 770 used to be like a hospital. So that was the operating room of the hospital, whatever. So those tiles, blue tiles. The other room also had, the Shady also had like that. So that was his room. Shmuel was there. he got Maimed. He got Maimed. When they gave Maimed to the Frierdiker Rebbe, it was given Beis Chayim. It was given to him. So I'm saying if you gave him $50, that kept him alive for 3 months.
That's a lot of money.
They say you able to buy a little cake, a little glass milk. That's what else did he need? Then.
Ich hab noch in Jahren, ich bin auf der Rede.
I was on the 70. When I was on the 70,
Zimmer gewann noch
when I was on the 70, lived in the back. I remember
das ja mal.
he used to come down to Dublin. A whole day he walked around. I wasn't there in the youth. Okay, when he lends himself to that. So he used to wear a pajama top. He didn't have a white shirt. Put on a pajama top. When he came out, he used to put on he used to put on a sutuk. That's the hat sutuk. But I think the Frierdiker Rebbe told him he's in America, he has to wear a tie. So he wore a tie on the pajama top. Say now, beautiful. The tie wasn't, it just didn't try to make it that. He took a tie, swung it around, a tie, pajama top, that's sutuk, for smaller babies. They say with him, in 1963, they cut in November, they shot Kennedy, yes? So he.
63, whatever.
Yeah, tough to come down. I was in New York, I remember, 1963. Okay, so somebody told them that they shot the president. You saw some Roosevelt? Roosevelt. He dealt with Roosevelt to get the Frierdiker Rebbe out of Russia, of Poland. So he was involved. Rabbi Jacobson was involved a lot. She knew he knew Roosevelt. I say he knew my mother said this. He knew Roosevelt was the president. Now all of a sudden you tell him the president was shot. You saw some Roosevelt. He never knew between us. He went for a president. Oh, gedenkst du das? Mit der Hemdl. Okay, alles die ganze Tag. So is to make it son. I used to call it a guy up the boch, a bocher, on the truck up like a clown suit.
I don't know if you remember, Sunday, all the business people used to wear nice clothes. Sunday, everybody was very special. Sunday.
In 770.
Basically, more actually is all you have to say. All the business like Sunday, it's going to suit on the
Yes, thank you. So lonely.
If he was a Rav, how could he be a Mufsha? Rav has no halacha, no nyanim, was flying.
He knew.
Brilliant guy, very smart, very smart. The Mufsha, he was a chosid. They can't halacha, they can't tell him hazeichel with that.
Yeah, but it was like a city, schlecht not shiva. Like
Oyev kech na Oyev. He said when he's in Siberia. Yeah, he looked up. When he was at, the Rebbe told the Rebbe, he didn't remember. He has to say, Oyev kech la Oyev. He never said that. I think it's a memory. It's a mishach. It's Oyev to Oyev.
Das ist Balance. Die Rebbe ist nicht geballt. Das war ein Kombinat.
That's what bothered him.
Einzige Ding, was bothers him.
Well, what's fine?
Alle kann ich
Aber wie man das Erste Jahr.
No, but I think they came in also there. You were talking about
Then he started.
so then I think the sound of it's all not for you. It's something to the Rebbe.
Bezikorin, ne? Chabador, bezikorin.
That's something is based there. What am I talking about? He came Chafei, he came to the Rebbe. The Rebbe.
De meisten dokter Rebbe muss nehmen da sie das gedok kennt doch von Abend.
Well, the what?
Beyond it, yeah, beyond it, I was there. Beyond it, he didn't go to the Beyond it, he's been Hodenstein. Hodenstein. Hodenstein was a Kayan. Hodenstein was Reb Marash. Reb Marash was agent. So he used to come. He lived on the upper east side or west side. Manhattan. He lived in Manhattan. He's not bored. He used to come every Rosh Chodesh. The Kayan. He used to get Kayan. The Rebbe's Aliyahs. The Rebbe got the regular Aliyah. Shlisha, the Chodesh. And he used to get Kayan. And right after that, he used to go. The Rebbe didn't daven with it. The Rebbe went right back to the hill. And he used to go with the Rebbe. He had Yechidus with the Rebbe. So I remember the year he passed away. He came. It was Elul. He came out and got to. He said every time the Rebbe says to see you. He said, this time the Rebbe is important. He said, he's Mensch. She wasn't sick. He didn't have any machla. I said,
Who's this again?
and he passed away. He passed away. He passed away. The Rebbe went to the Levaya. And the Chaz also went to So the Rebbe went, I remember the Rebbe went with the Williamsburg Bridge, if I'm not mistaken. And I think I got to arrive at Shomas Lachas. On the way back, he got plucked for the Rebbe. There was only one. Bill Chris was driving. Back he went to the Manhattan or Brooklyn Bridge. Didn't go to the same bridge.
What year was that?
That was going down Flat Hashem. That was maybe past Long Island University on Flat Hashem. I can see from the back, they look like this. The podium, they came over there to be. He's a Bayan Chosik, the son of State. So they took him, I think, even in Staten Island, New Jersey. He was not very Lubavitch. So they went to the Beyond Bismedish, and he spread away. And the Rebbe came, and then the Beyond Rebbe came out from his house over there. It was like 5 steps to go down. The Rebbe, so the Rebbe went towards him, and the Rebbe took him from him. One picture. A picture. I find that easy.
When was this?
Okay.
What
The
year?
Rebbe took him by the hand. There was old Chassidim with the Gaboy. I don't know. I think it's something. I can fall down for it, you know. The Rebbe took him by the hand. And that's a picture. So the Rebbe didn't go with him. He wasn't a Nachem Open. He wasn't a Noah.
What year was this?
This was every restriction comes to the case, to the Rebbe. I don't think ever came to the place. Als ik nog naar Keen en misschien dat is zo. Die probleem is God is Keen. Die dat zo tegen moest ik voor die schiep. Dat heb ik ook Wordt niet geest naar God. Kun je nog meer voor de Rebbe. Ik denk dat het wordt niet, maar deze is een subis. Dat ga je hem kijken.
I come every night about
The only time that we saw the Rebbe is Manhattan. The Rebbe used to go to Manhattan all the time.
The summer
In
Rebbe
that
was,
easy, I saw the Rebbe in Manhattan. How many people go to the Rebbe in Manhattan?
the summer Rebbe was friendly with the Rebbe.
The Rebbe again, that's what it's eenmaal bezig. Wat? Ja. De Rebbe spent misschien met geen vader. Wat was?
No, there's millions. Maybe
Was er das also wenn ich bald in der Gruppe was sehen Sie gesagt. When they say, don't have to think of the free in America here also that Freedom of Information Act after 50 years. I will say this, and this they don't give up. It has to do with national security. They don't give up. They sign to be 100 years, 20 years. It means they're still using Zachen that the Rebbe was involved. I know that.
Ik ben een man des.
electric.
Yeah. Als is dat was alle zo reizen. Als we op zijn groep, als we gewoon gaan met de natie, maar de regime, secret was die kleine schap. Was dat was niet bouwd, dat was lasers, dat was nice dat het helemaal niet bouwd developed. Dit ook.
found that brief from that Dr. Covey, 1962.
Ze gaan over kijken je natie.
Dan heb ik gezien maar 6 pages. Dat zijn Van science alleen, in den brief met een enkele merkjes, eens gewoon ze gaan als dat. Ze mogen druk met 100 verkapen. Nein, die merken, die hebben haben wir genau 6 haben sie gesagt, auf alle Sprachen, die ganze Welt. Die kommen in an andere Seite, kann man scheiden lassen. Den Brief, Rebbe gibt das noch einmal. Ja, was der Rebbe einfach, kann man sagen, was hat geschrieben. Schreibt, als der Scientist, als a scientist, soll es nicht mehr davon. The scientist doesn't mix into rabbinics. It's rabbinics. So the same token, a rabbi should not mix into science. That's what the Rebbe must mix into science.
Who told him that?
Another scientist wrote.
But the Rebbe was an engineer.
Hey, no, that's not printed in the New York Times. Oh, okay. That's what wrote to the Rebbe. That's what you write. He said, that's what you write. A scientist should not mix into rabbinics. By the same token, a rabbi should not mix into science. I agree with him. So your information, Rebbe writes, I studied science at the university level. I said to them, from 1928 to 32 in Berlin, and I think from 34 to 38. That's in Paris. That's in Paris. In Paris, if I remember correctly, that's also doesn't make it over Berlin. And it's I keep up to all major scientific developments ever since. Mamish. This letter was written Tafshin Chav Beis, 1962. In the letter that he writes to him, a certain thing that was university, Utah University, they made in 1959. Schreibt the Rebbe bringt the Reihe von dort. Und dort geschrieben, this guy wrote up some book about the atomic energy. The Rebbe schreibt some others of them. It's interessant. Und die meisten Geschichten also, that were the books. So the Rebbe wrote, he studied electrical engineering. That's what the Rebbe said. He knows exactly the Yeshiva. It's impossible to have a boat run on order. They said, Sim was saying, we can feel automatic. 24 hours Shabbos, everything can stop, the boat can run. You can stop the meeting, and solve everything. That's impossible. And there's two letters. It's came out of the Kultur. Remember, the Rebbe writes English words there. It's Mamdi Hisaber Tashib, the ganze Meise. I don't like crazy. The Babich but it stopped again. So Heinz is stuck in sheep. They still have some of the company the containers of them. The sheep. I'm all given up. That's the mention of the sheep. The book came from the soil. It's because I am a gill.
What's wrong with traveling in a boat?
People are working for you on Shabbos. You're not allowed to.
So what was the Rabbonims and the other Rabbonim?
Never tried because they don't know how it works. They don't understand the Alazar.
So what did they say? I understand.
They convinced them that nobody does anything for 24 hours. I'll get away.
Exactly. They basically they tell them it's good. Okay, it's good. It's good. If it's good, it's mutter. That's just impossible. It can't be such a thing. It's can't design. The Yidden are working for you to kill Shabbos. In that time, there were the whole issue. Many people that never told them privately. Make sure you do not go. We'll take another boat. And then they were the Rebbe Machkalos. They did the ganze
Economy, whatever.
But all over the Bazaar. They're making more money now than ever made before.
Zwei Schochel Shabbos gemacht. Das gleich noch die Vater zu kommen, gibt es zu geben. Ist der Gerhard macht aber gut. Mit alle Formen sind mit alle und organisiert.
Wer wird das doch jetzt unter No.
Oh yeah, Tower.
Yeah, that's what's his name? That's Friedman, the Tzaddik, no? Shimon Tzaddik's brother or something? Gil.
Tower up and down.
Yeah. I heard about it. It was very cheap also, very cheap. But they went big. Oh yeah? Oh, remember. Thank you very much. From Israel? No. Yeah. Basically, this is a guy called Shimon Tzadik. No, his brother.
The real thing.
Yeah, brother Hill. Change it from freedom to Hill. Yeah, marvelous. He went bankrupt. I think after the Tower. I think the company went bankrupt. Huh? Yeah. But they were very cheap.
That's good.
You get to stand on the plane and you have so much room to sleep.
You can make it good for you. You have your husband is I don't know. We don't understand people. We want to understand what's good for us. Make it good for you and good for us. So that's the bakosha. That is our chatay. Everything is good flavor. Everything's gibra. But the trouble is, it's a tape that he understands, but we don't understand. We don't want that. We want that tape model. should be good for us. We should understand that person that mentioned. A Rebbe can understand. The Rebbe writes when he was a child, before 3 years old, he was already imagining, envisioning Mashiach will come. That devil will understand that the only way that Mashiach will come is only through the suffering and the goodness, everything else. It's a 3-year-old child. Even the biggest Oscar, the Bill can't even grasp this thing. You understand? How can you grasp the concept? Mashiach will come, will understand that all the Rebbe was already 3 years old. That was meditating. That Mashiach will come to be lollipops on the street, on the trees. And it's going to happen anyway. That's such a Gemara. That's not true. It's true. Oh wow! No, that's not. Can you imagine? So the Rebbe can work with that. Of course, we don't understand. The meaning hatayv lanu. That's what it is. It's orcha hatayv lanu. It's a one-liner. Beautiful. Huh? Message. A one-liner message. It's that's how I used to say. It's orcha hatayv lanu. Tiftach. You say it in the shyness, or you say it in the Shalom Kippur. So 4 words. Depends where you put that. Now, we got my shver, he said, that slicha, when a chazan, van echt mispadach het teetzei, en echt het gezend in de shot. En ik dacht, dan liegen, van echt mispadach, teetzei necho. Teetzei, de chazonne, teetzei necho.
Was this your uncle? Your...
No, here's my shver. Nee, hier staat een altijd heen. You know, such a guy, he's a chazan. That's what in Lubavitch chazon was trade. Because that's reason taking. Because that's the chazan. They say in Lubavitch, when I need in the event. ומי שחוטו, יושו. בחיית המול, זה רב הרש"פ said, what matter the חוטו? מי שחוטו, יושו. זאת יושו. 20 מול חוטו. מי שחוטו, חוטו. ינוק mit לחוטו. מי שחוטו, יושו. ינוק.
Yeah.
Einmal Gott ist genug. Yosef. Yosef. Gott einmal genug. Genug einmal. Ja, genug einmal Gott. Echt einmal zegt zoveel. Zij toch? Ja, wie Gott. Yosef. Ik heb niet gehad. Je hebt een naam. De niks ziet het geheim. Ze komt er zeggen. Ashrei Mishal Echoto, Ashrei Mishal Echoto, Mishachoto, Yoshuv. Nee, dat zit in je man in zoeken. Dat zit best zeven. Ramol gezongen, Misha, ze zal bewenden, Misha Choto.
Also Madge gewinnen auf der Choto.
Die Leute Choto. Los auf dem Choto. Das ist der Choto, Misha Choto. Yosef. Ich sage, der Mann ist gehört, dass ich nach Chazen. Ich habe mein Schwert, so mit der Alter heim. Was liegt? Das der Chazen ist. Von nachher auf TC, nachher seine Mischori. Sein Nigen, der Chazon ist gegangen, von nachher mit Spatecho. Und dann hat er TC Necho mit der Chazon. TC Necho. Das war ein passender Nigen. Der Chazon ist ein passender. Ik vind het wel eens de cijfer dus. Ik denk dat het was oké. Wat heet ze nog? Heet ze nog? Maar ik moet zeggen, zes wie een bekker. Een bekker met zes hij zit de maatse. Dat is gelijk de breedte daarin. Zes wie een bekker. Zes wie even wie een bekker. Heet ze nog? Ja, dat is nog geheim. Hij gaat heel riepen, weet je, dat hebben we laatst gezien, maar dat zijn. The Rebbe Marash is a zoon from Marcel, the Kura in the Kultur, Tanya, the Zom Abushin Wort. The Welt Zog, and the Kennish Arund, we zaten op zijn niet gezegd. Naar rond te gaan, en we kennen ze rond, dat is al versteld. Geef naar die. Hier zo gaat gillen. Hier gaat gillen, dat breekt met. Dat gaat verkopen. Gaat gillen, rieven, dat vergeet. Geen zaak in de zaak. Niet te schrijven, dat vergeet. Zaak dat even papier, gaat gillen. Maar ik ga ruimen, ik krijg mijn brezen van als zodat aan zodat aan een school. Misschien ook dat zijn de ganzen hier, alle zaken. Dat is zo zwaar. Misschien geld, zoals dat. Dat is elke berg. Dat is de man, honderden man. Dat geldt niet.
I'm saying tutoring, have client, clients. Huh? To have until 2:30, Shiva didn't have the activities. Not now, not ready. Home alone. Tutoring, my over teaching. Tutor a lot. More years to tutor. We understand it even better. Once we talk Muhammad,
Yes, I understand. So give me a blessing.
no.
Let's see what the book is. It's just started with the episode. There you go.
There's this lady in Yeshiva, kids in the Chia or whatever. She charges $3 to have huh? Not one year, no. She's like a real professional. The courses and everything. Burnt fat. Yeah. She teaches upstairs. She was my wife's teacher. Huh? No, she's not. She's very mature. Huh? Yeah. She, I saw the way she's very very good. She's better than She's very good to teach kids. I didn't look. Took a course from Iyer. No, yeah. Definitely very good. Yeah. Helping out the next Again, many years. have what to offer, you don't have to worry about control. Yeah, I feel a little bit of controlling. Yeah. You know how you have what to offer. You have what to give over. A lot of Mulam before they went to Mulam.
Meir. Schmulik Slavim ist gewinnt in dein Krakide. Dann ja. Aber dann ja.
He understands.
Crazy about my brother.
Ich weiß noch nicht, Mulik dein Gut, ich wurde mit der Puppe nach, dann gut. Misschien is gewoon niet leuk, want ik ben aangekomen. Misschien is niet gewend dat ik net op slaan beter. Dan het beter. Laat me dadelijk. Ja, misschien is het niet.
How you go over? Literally, word by word. What did he mean?
He has a very good picture.
Anyway,
Some of them a little bit on a high level.
I give him money to get in this apartment, we give him- I will basically give my
He has like a huge. If you know
Machen wir Apparat.